Hi everyone, how you doing? My name is Steve Zaitchik. I'm going to try to help people that are looking for startups, let's say in earlier stage companies that are looking to expand and scale up their business, whether it's national or global. What criteria they should be focused on if they're looking to either get help to expand their network of clients through people that have a rich network, or to raise additional capital. Both of these are things that I'm approached on a weekly basis, and hundreds and hundreds of times a year. And so there is a certain science behind it, and I think if I point out what the criteria is that people look for, it can help you crystallize your thoughts and create a framework in which to structure your priorities and know what people are looking for. So, with that, I will give a couple of disclaimers. First of all, this list is by no means, a total list, and it's not necessarily saying that everybody follows the things. But I will say that within my peer group, it's not uncommon for, at the very least, the things that I'm going to refer to in a moment, to be explored relatively quickly to determine if there's justification for further investment of bandwidth. When we look at so many deals, we can't afford to spend all our time doing due diligence on every single deal, and so we need a quick checklist to determine what justifies further research. So here it is. Here's my list. Number one, the first thing I look at is I try to see the most important. And this is kind of a list of priorities. The first thing I look at is who's on the management team, and that's the most important thing to me. What that really says is I don't need them personally to be MD PhDs. I don't need to, I need to see what's their reputation. Do they have in their background prior success? If they don't, do they have prior failure? That's important as well. Why have they failed in the past? That's okay. I just need to know where that's coming from. And, is there anything in their background that would speak to me that suggests that they are prepared to compromise their integrity or their ethics? And when I say ethics, I mean personal ethics as well as work ethic. And I think that's the most important thing. I mean, I've seen really um, weak solutions succeed in the marketplace because of a strong team. And of course, conversely, I've seen really great products fail miserably. That's probably even a more common occurrence because the team just didn't have it together. So that's one thing. The other thing that you're looking for within the team bullet point is what's the dynamic between the different team members? Is it a cohesive? Are they a cohesive unit? Do they complement each other nicely? Do they? And these are all things that one can pick up quickly, and certainly by asking around and getting a sense of the prior history, can see. Can look into that fairly accurately. So that's one thing. The second thing I look at is who's on the board of the company and what's their relationship with the management team. That's relatively easy to check out. In my case, a lot of the referrals that we get are from the board on the board level. So, is there drama in between those two groups? Everybody has drama in their life. There's enough drama in your life that you don't need to add in avoidable drama. And that's like my mantra. I always think to myself, avoid avoidable drama. And so, we're always looking to see if the board is behind them and supporting them, and really shares the same vision, short-term and long-term vision. That's definitely much more attractive than something that's going to be clear conflicts, because that's inevitably going to create drama. So there's number two. Number three, I look to see what the underlying technology, solution, service, product, whatever it might be, depending on the sector. What is it? I mean, is it something that is really innovative and provide real added value, or is it just one of a million of other things? I don't think that companies necessarily have to be the only one in the marketplace doing what they're doing to be successful, but I certainly don't need to see, the 1,000 of the same thing. And they might succeed, they might have a nice business, but it's not necessarily going to be um, a standout. If I'm looking to filter out one deal over other deals, what are the unique, real unique? I'm not talking about people could always put a spin on it, but is there true added value? And I don't care if that's something that's going to change the world or something that's just going to make my phone, look prettier or work better, for example, using technology as an example. But regardless of what it is, it has to be a real standout. So that's number three. Number four, I look to see, and I think this goes both ways. I think this is also true from the client side, from your side. You look to see, can the company, can the individual that you're engaging with, in this case, let's say when companies are referred to me, can I provide added value? Now, I'm very careful about being self-aware to know if I can provide added value, because if I can't, ultimately, no matter how much a company might want to work with me, and I'm flattered by that, it's going to end up wasting my time and their time, and it's not going to be a healthy long-term relationship. At the end of the day, if I can't provide significant added value, I'd rather just help a company, in a less hands-on way and be a good friend than a lousy consultant, and have a good relationship that that one can then in the future build upon. And it doesn't have to be a conditional statement. It could be an unconditional relationship. But the key to growing in this world, personally and professionally, are healthy relationships. So there's always that, and I think that goes both ways. Can the individual provide value to the company, and can the company benefit from the value that the individual can can provide? So and then the last thing that I look at is when I'm trying to determine if the company is worth investing further bandwidth in. And again, these aren't arrogant comments. I just think that this is very much the natural filtering process for someone who sees a large deal flow. So the last thing to look at is this an appropriate time for the company to succeed? Which means, when you look at a lot of companies that are successful right now, there could have been other companies that came along earlier with similar solutions, but it wasn't the right time. A perfect example of that, I think, would be an example, and it's purely hypothetical right now. I'm sure I could come up with 100, but one very clear one would be if I had come up with a company that does voice over IP, right, in the dial-up days, dial-up internet days, which I'm sure there were companies that tried to do that. That would have been much more challenging to be successful. Great idea, very innovative, and ultimately it really was a game changer. And I certainly benefit from it on a daily basis, because I deal with clients around the globe. However, in the AOL Prodigy days, or let's say AOL, and I'm dating myself a bit, when I'm using a 2400, baud modem, and or even any type of dial-up modem, it would have been a very frustrating experience to have to say something and then wait 3 minutes to hear a response. And I'm embellishing slightly, but it would have been more aligned with my playing with a walkie-talkie when I was a kid with my brother, right? And I'm not 90 years old, so I'm not trying to sound like we were doing this while we were on our ponies, but certainly, it has to be the right time for the business. So I'm going to look to see, is this the right time? Now, sometimes you have a company that is the right time, like let's say MySpace, but ultimately Facebook came along and, and blew it away. So that's not a guarantee necessarily. You have to do a combination of all these things, but I think that is a very relevant variable. So when I would pitch, if hypothetically I was pitching to someone else, I would make sure that they would understand. Number one, just to go over the key points. Number one, I want them to understand, um, why our team is a winning team, both from the individuals in the team and as a group. Number two, who's on our board, both from a manager, a board level as well as an advisory board, in terms of the credibility it provides, the validation, and also the relationship and dynamic in terms of not just passive board members, but really active in terms of accessing their experience, most importantly, and potentially their network as well. So that's number two. Number three, our solution, what is it about our solution that really is unique and believe, that we can believe can make it a real difference. It doesn't have to be, a unicorn, but it could certainly become a very significant, healthy business that could provide a real return on an investment of whether that means time investment or financial investment. And then number four, why we think the person we're pitching could provide real value, and why we think we'd be an appropriate fit. And then finally, why we think this is the right time for our business to really flourish. I think if you guys have that down, I'd rather hear that in a one pager than a 30, 50 page pitch deck, which is another conversation for another day. But certainly that would be much more valuable and help me understand why now it's time to pick up the phone or set up a meeting or have a Skype call, whatever it might be, to get further details on the company. And I think, by the way, that's not unique to any one culture. It's not unique to an American culture. I think that those variables are across the globe very, very important. So I hope that was helpful, and certainly you're welcome to ask me any questions or comment on this below. And I certainly embrace feedback, and thank you very much. Take care. I hope it was helpful. Bye, guys.